What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka Descendant of Chaos and Controversy. And I know when looking at the thumbnail and reading the caption, and you see Clayton Bigsby's offsprings, I know some might be a little confused as to what that is referencing. And I know, like, when you see the picture of Candence, Owens, and Tatum, you might have an idea, but not understand it. Okay, so here's the explanation. If anybody ever saw the Chappelle show, Dave Chappelle had a skit with this character called Clayton Bigsby. Clayton Bigsby was a blind black man who identified as being white. Didn't think or anybody had ever told him that he was black. So he was racist as racist could come. And yeah, those who knew of who he was tried to protect his identity because they didn't have the heart to tell him that he was black. So they let him go along with the racial rhetoric and stuff like that. Now, the reason why this particular character came to mind was when following and listening to Ricky Manor, when he goes to address those of the likes of Candence, Owens, or Tatum, and you listen to the negative rhetoric that they spew when it comes to them addressing or talking about the black community with blanket statements and an overall generalized perspective that paints us pretty much in a negative picture, not detaching certain elements and placing them in the category where it is appropriate and disengaging the rest of us that aren't a part of that bad element that gives the overall general perspective, putting us in a bad light. And it's ironic because they'll say and point out all these negative things, but if the shoe was on the other foot and that same energy was directed and speaking towards the white community, then all of a sudden they're quick to say that you got these people that are Democrats, or you must be part of BLM, or you must be this, that, and the other. And it's like, no. How is it that it's okay for negative things to be said about black folks and it can't be addressed for those to stand up and say this isn't acceptable? And it's okay for that to be entertained. But again, as I kept saying, as soon as you say something about white, here you go with these people sitting there saying, see, there you go, coming off sounding racist. Energy given is energy received. If a certain behavior is taught, then a certain behavior is going to be imitated. Looking at some of the footage of Ricky Manor going over the whole PragerU nonsense, bullshit, whatever, and Candence Owens being a spokesperson for the videos that's out there and stuff like that, Ricky Manor did a pretty damn good job at debunking and breaking down and bringing actual facts that contradicted a lot of what fucking Candence Owens was saying. And a lot of people were giving this woman so much credit. And like I said, be careful who you hold up on a pedestal. Because they may not be the person that you hold in such high esteem. Because as we look at many of the people that we looked up with such greatness and stuff, now they're under attack in this day and age with a tantamount amount of criticism. Oh, look at Martin Luther King. Look at what he did, this, that, and everything else. Da, 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 da. Man in his grave, his character's still being assassinated. Malcolm X, well, there's not much you can say about Malcolm X because Malcolm X told you where he stood in it, and what you saw is what you got. And he was very fucking unapologetic. And he was right about everything from the white liberals to every other entity in the political arena and shit that you can't take for face value. They're all suspect. And this is the reason why I don't support either party. This is the reason why I don't support politics. Because people in those positions aren't for the people that fucking voted them in those positions of power. Because they're not for the people. They are for themselves and special interest groups. They could give a fuck about us. What I've seen so far, they're doing everything in their power to pass bills just to fuck us royally. But I'm straying away from the point. Ricky Manor, and I agree wholeheartedly, that when you get these people and you got certain topics of discussions that's put on the table for fair debate, so to speak, they always entertain the one-sided narratives, and the one-sided narratives always lean towards the ideology of white supremacy. The talking points align and parallel themselves to the talking points of white supremacy. And when talking down negatively about those in the black community, making generalized statements about the black community, it is interesting that that is acceptable without consequence, without repercussions, without any kind of responsibility for the rhetoric that is put out there. And when those stand up for themselves, and rightfully so, they get attacked with the stop playing the role of a victim. And as I've stated, and as Ricky Manor stated, addressing your grievances is not playing the role of a victim at all. When you're subjected to some bullshit that affects you, you have the right to talk about it. You have the right to address it. You have the right to make sure that that shit don't happen to nobody else. Now, when it comes to the white fragility, it's okay for them to spew off all this racial rhetoric, to act like they have this entitled behavior, to act like, oh, do as I say, not as I do. You cross a certain line, here go the consequences and the repercussions. Speak ill or bad about us, we're going to do that reverse psychology bullshit and play Jedi mind tricks with your ass. And then you got those like Brandon, Tatum, and Candence Owens quick to run to the defense of the white people because they need a savior with a black face to be their spokesperson, to say how wrong black people are for addressing their grievances, or to say anything negative about white people in particular. But when it comes to them saying anything about black folks, hey, it's fair game, right? And they'll throw out certain talking points to pretend as if they have the concern of those in the black community at heart. And they don't. They'll bring up the regurgitated talking points about the fatherless homes, Planned Parenthood, what else? The black on black crime, what else? The government assistance, pulling yourselves up by the bootstraps, stop with the victimhood mentality, stop blaming the white man for everything, and this, that, and everything else. And, you know, that is all fine and dandy to a certain extent, but for those that have dealt with things directly, some of those talking points that does have validation to them, when it comes to people in particular demographics, which I will reiterate till I'm blue in the face, there's 50 states within this country. Each demographic is different. Each state damn near runs by its own laws, ordinances, policies, or whatever. Some of these towns, some of these counties aren't fucking friendly, aren't fucking open to having a mixture of people, so to speak. They are very unwelcoming when it comes to outsiders. And there have been many stories told, many eyewitness accounts and experiences that validates those points. People think that sundown towns are a joke. No, they're not. And it's funny and then now you're seeing a lot of the arrogance. You see a lot of the entitlement. You see a lot of the insensitive attitude when it comes to a lot of these, coming from these particular individuals, particular groups of white people that go out and just start coming at black people for that black people that be minding their own fucking business. They don't ask to be bothered, but here you got some entitled motherfucker coming up just antagonizing motherfuckers. And then when they get that smoke, when they get that, what they looking for, then it's the black person's fault for responding. And it always is funny how that works. Whenever there's an agitator in a situation, whether it's a ignorant ass white person, a racist ass, biased ass law enforcement officer and stuff, and they engage with those within the black community, it's all good for them to sit there and be the agitators, the ones to sit there and how should I put it? Be the one responsible for the engagements. But when, rightfully so, they get a response to their confrontations, it's funny how the confrontation is overlooked, but the response is what is being the main focus. How the fuck does that work? That's like a bully coming up to my son, picking on my son every fucking day. And then I tell my son, you know what? Don't be a punk. Stand up to this bully. Otherwise, this bully gonna keep fucking with you day in and day out. And then the day that my son decides, you know what, he ain't gonna take it no more, and he fucking, pow, punched that bully in his mouth after he done got beat around, knocked around, and kicked and stuff like that. He gets penalized and the bully gets all scot-free. And this is where society is at right now. I don't live in a world where I'm delusional. I don't live in a world where I entertain deliberately saying that shit don't exist because I'm in the comfort of my own bubble or my own comfort zone. I understand that I may not experience certain things that other people may experience or have already experienced or have gone through some shit that I'm fortunate enough not to have gone through. But because I haven't gone through it doesn't mean I'm going to just be ignorant and say that that shit never ever happened. Or if it did happen, that those people deserved it. Or make excuses for the other party that were antagonistic or damn, what's the word that I'm looking for? Instigating, provoking, escalating the situation. And none of that gets addressed. But those that are subjected to the bullshit, they're the ones whose feet get held to the fire. I don't understand the ass backwards logic behind a lot of this shit. And the same goes, and to be fair, the same goes for whenever say, I see those, and there are those examples of where there are black people that go out and they fuck with white people intentionally. And then when they get the attention that they were looking for but did not expect, then they want to cry foul. And this is where I will agree that sometimes when you want to say that something is racist, it is not. That would be the example. It's you went out, you fucked with somebody, you didn't think they could stand up for themselves, and you found that they could. Now your mouth done, how should I say, wrote checks that your ass can't cash. And then you want to cry racism. I see things and I put forth the balance. And I'm not, and like I said, there's ignorance on both sides of the fence. It ain't just one side that's completely at fault and the other isn't, or vice versa. There's ignorance on both sides. But what I can't stand is when people try to completely dismiss or ignore or try to act like shit is non-existent just because their life hasn't been disrupted by it, where others have, and you tell other people that they aren't entitled to their grievances. I can't co-sign that. And that's the biggest issue I have with Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens. They'll sit there and be quick to tell you racism don't exist in America. Okay, you might have just a few examples. There are far, far, far more than just a few examples. There's just way too many that has been either unaccounted for, or there's been many examples that have been posted and blasted on over social media, but been disregarded because of knuckleheads like Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens that downplay the situation. But then when it starts to affect them directly, they want to be downplayed. Then I'll bet you and I guarantee you that a whole 1,000%. But that day hasn't come yet. And when it does, they'll probably just hush just to keep up the image, sweep it up under the rug. But eventually, shit always comes to light. Shit always resurfaces. That's why you can't bury shit and expect it to be buried for long. I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, that's all I got for tonight. I'll just pretty much going off on a tangent. I haven't done the video in a minute, been preoccupied with my own personal shit, so to speak. I'll probably get into that later in another video. But anyway, until next time, until next video, please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and your comments in the comment section. And as always, you already know how I do. Peace.